Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I had a great conversation with somebody else yesterday by the name of Ian. He came and asked me some question, and the question, can you explain to me the difference between all these data related careers, people, whatever they do. In this video we're going to be talking and demystifying all the data related titles, activities, and in that way maybe it can help you demystify it. That's what's coming in this video. Stay tuned. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisema Matsietsi. Thank you for subscribing, thank you for hitting that bell button, and thank you for hitting that thumbs up. If you have, thank you very much. If you haven't, please consider. What we're talking about in here, yesterday we were giving away cruise tickets to 10 of the bank consultants that have been doing quite well in the digital journey, and then one of those, Ian, was coming from the risk and regulatory side of things, just to come and see that whatever I was doing was in place. And after seeing me selecting who's got the best tickets, and we ran the raffle live on Teams, he asked me, he said, you know, I saw what you did there. I just want to ask you about this data related question that I have. Ian is not just he's not a data person per se. He's doing his MBA, and he was asking, you know, I know about fintechs because his dissertation is around fintechs and stuff, but he wanted to know about, you know, how data worked out. And before then he had, you know, reached out to his professors, and they've given him, according to him, they've given him answers, but it was not as clear. And this was my simple answer: data, as far as possible, it's like, you know, when you're in high school, there's that mathematics, there's arithmetic where you do 1 + 1 divided by whatever, and then you go to calculus, you go to trigonometry, you go to geometry, commercial math, where, you know what, you're doing advanced mathematics and quants and whatever. And I said, if you understand that line, that there's different levels of mathematics depending on what you are trying to solve. And I said, let me just explain data world the same way. So let's start with a simple query. You have a query, you have 10 records. Whether you do it on Word or in Excel, you can be able to solve 10 people. You know, you can see the 10 people themselves. Here's the 10 names. Those people's names is here as 10 people. If you say, show me the ones that are red, you can see 3 are red. It's 3 out of 10, you know the percentages, you can work it out. For that, I said, you can work on Excel. Excel has got a limit. It depends on which version you are. You start putting formulas next to those records. You start to say divided by VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, whatever. When you open up the Excel workbook, it becomes slower. So for that, you need to think about things that you can do to, you know, solve that issue. The initial Excel workbook, anybody can do it. Any data administrator type of thing or data capturer, they can capture on Excel, they send it through, you know, you can look at it. I'm not even talking about doing VLOOKUPs and all those advanced things on Excel. I'm just talking about the data itself on Excel. 1.4 million rows maximum, you can't get 1.5. 1.5, Excel will tell you, no, I can't use it that way. Then what it needs is, it needs another level. I know in Excel, you can talk about Power Query, pulling in, embedding other scripts underneath. But for this, let's just leave it plain and simple. You cannot capture and visualize those. Then you can move into what? Then you move into a more powerful machine. Then you take it to maybe a SQL server. Now you can be able to, you know, get a few millions records without compromising on performance. And the things can actually even run much more faster. And that's where you need somebody called a data analyst. The data analyst will look at that and then, you know, do it accordingly. From there, let's say data analyst, now you are now dealing with different variables, different viewpoints, and then now you are dealing with millions of records, petabytes of records, more records than, you know, you could visually look at it. The script takes, let's say it takes a couple of hours to run on SQL, only to give you the 10 names. You know, it goes through everything else. When it says the top 10 names, it can run for maybe 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. So it's a full day script type of a thing. Then you're looking for advanced people. It could be data engineers or whatever the case is, that can actually make use of a different filing system. Let's call this one, I think they call it Hadoop, where data is stored in a different way, but it's designed for big data. So data that is so big that you cannot visually see it itself. So these people will know the machine that you can put it on, write their own little script in there, make sure that, when you say, give me 10 records that have won the raffle, they will go and then pull you the 10 records that are using whatever rules that is. So they guide the rules without actually seeing the data. So that's the fun part about it. And the next step is the people that they call the data scientists. So those ones are the ones that they don't have to see what the data looks like. They can just create rules to the same data to say, use this one to forecast, use this one to cluster, use this one, not just pulling data, but they are molding the data itself into whatever wave that it should be getting into. Those type of people, data engineers, data scientists, they are able to handle regularly coming data, like live data that keeps on coming in. They are able to handle it. While when you're looking at the data administrator, the struggle of working on one Excel workbook, one person save changes, no, you save on the same line, they clash, stuff like that. But those guys are able to handle that type of data that it just keeps on coming at different levels. So his second question came over and he said, I'm looking to understand and make a career in data. And he said, what should I do then? Do I, after my MBA, do I take, data innovatives? Do I try to do data sciences? Do I go online and take an online course? And I said no, because you're already doing your MBA. I would suggest you do the same thing that I got a suggestion from my mentor to say, go and look at how could you build a framework, but your framework should not be around what can you do as an individual, but your framework should be around how could you go around collecting people that they can solve an issue. And I said most consulting companies, I won't mention them by names here, most consulting companies go out and they say, organization, bring your problems to us, your data problems, we'll solve them and you pay us. And I said, but what you can do is you can go to the organization, tell the learning and development to say, hang on a second, I know you guys got issues because the current trajectory of people looks like this. You get somebody else who just started, and as they get into the organization, you give them licenses, but you also give them a scorecard so they don't have time to do self-development. New project shows up, the guy, six months or a year, he hasn't had the time to actually beef up their studies to data scientist. What you have to do is now you are running short of skills. So you have to go out to that consulting company, come back, pay millions of rands to have the issue solved. And I said the framework, from the way that I'm understanding what his problem is with his MBA, is go out, tell the people that, or the organization that, hang on a second, I can see you already have a very, very, very good employee. Let's get the culture that they come, will help them, groom them, help them, empower them to get to a learning culture using all this LinkedIn Learning, Udemy, Coursera, you name them, all of those platforms, using all of those so that they can get accredited, even AWS and Microsoft themselves, because they are also giving out free licenses as part of the relationship with organizations. Get you there. After we get you there, we're going to ensure that within a year, 2 years, 3 years, doesn't matter how it is, you are never going to be looking for specialized skills, especially in the IT side. But there's a spin to that, and the spin to that is, I know with a lot of softwares, they start with limited functionality and then they evolve already when they're live. So that creates a problem with this framework that I was talking to Ian about, because as you go into the framework, you are developing somebody from a data administrator to a data scientist. You have a framework of, say for instance, 4 years, but the software itself keep on evolving so much that this guy, the only problem that you have to ask about this person is, do you have a culture of continuous learning, a growth mindset? If you do have a growth mindset, then it means they will accommodate the thing that every month or two there's a new update, there's a new patch, there's a new feature, there's and you have to keep on learning new things every month. If not, like most people, they want to go to university and then just sit at home and relax. If it's like most South Africans in that case, then you have a bigger problem. Then you have to predict which softwares and how is their evolution looking like? Which softwares are you going to handpick from, a basket of softwares that are out there, but the ones with the lowest rate of change? Then you can implement that into those. Say for instance, if an Excel or Outlook software patches, previously they used to come out every year with a big change. Then you have a year to teach people Office 2003, and then you have a few years before it comes out to 2007. Then you can teach them for a year, and then you have another 2-3 years playing around with the people, and there's value for return on investment. But right now with live systems, you don't know what new feature will be there. Another simple example is we got used to VLOOKUPs and HLOOKUPs for a very, very long time, but now there's something called XLOOKUP, which changes everything. It combines both VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP together. But now is a whole, now you have to teach everybody what is the XLOOKUP, how does it work, where do you get it? While previously we would wait for batches. So I said to Ian, you have another problem there. As much as you are teaching the people, you have other variables here. What you could do, you can do it as a business model to say, I'm gonna go out to the South African privileged majority. I wish I could say the underprivileged few, but it's the underprivileged majority. You can go to them and say, listen guys, I'm gonna help you, empower you with these skills so that we can answer this whole thing. Because if you go on jobs online or whatever the case is, there are a lot of opportunities that are out there. They are listing the impossibles. One guy said they are looking for unicorns when they put up a job post. They are looking for unicorns, and you have all these people who are jobless. And I said, the only issue is you can say, I'm going to create a framework that will take an average person and empower them just like that, so that they can become the unicorn that you're looking for. But I said the only worry for me on my side is most of us, when we start to think about solutions, we start by making assumptions and we're not being real with our assumptions. I'm going to make an example. If I start right now and I say I'm going to go back to Welkom, for instance, I have to say, what does an average person in Welkom look like? If an average person in Welkom stays in a shack, in a shanty town, I have to say, how do I take a person from a shanty town from waking up? What food should they eat? What's the exercise? What phone should they have? What books should they read? What TV programs should they listen to a point where their mind is sharp enough to focus in school, after being in school, focus and get university entrance. In university, they behave this way, and then they start at work. Because most of us, we're just thinking, if we can get motivated people that ticks this box at work, we are okay. But we never actually start at the beginning to say, from the time that they wake up, for how many years do they need to wake up and have this thinking? We think that, having an online training courses, is a solution. Africans needs to learn. Here's a link, click there, you are in Harvard. There you go, you can learn in Harvard. And you're asking yourself, but we give them the opportunities, why are they not biting? It's because nobody has ever thought holistically from when they woke up all the way to them completing your course. And I said, yeah, that becomes an issue. I don't know if you want to tackle that, because if you can tackle that and come up with a tangible framework, and that's why I go back to framework. We come back with a tangible framework that starts. This is where you start in the beginning. This is how you go until this is how you graduate. Then I'll be quite happy. And in that case, he was quite appreciative of how I explained the different data thing and why there's job scarcity and why there's people that are looking for jobs and they're not there, and there's organizations that are looking for people and the people are not there, and there's that big mismatch, and why some job titles pay so much money. It looks like now if you graduate to become a data scientist, your salary might be as much as most executives. I've seen people with over 2.5 million when we do the budgets, and it's just the data scientist. And those are 2020, 2021, budget numbers. But now you start to get all of those issues, and it's not easy to become a data scientist. You first have to become, maybe you start as just a data person, you get maybe others get their masters, you start as a junior data scientist. After a few years, then only then do you graduate. The whole life cycle, you have to map it down with all the different variables, and then you ask yourself, is this people gonna be coming through from previously disadvantaged areas, or is this people synonymous with people that are coming from previously advantaged communities? If they are coming from previously advantaged communities, then it will be right for me and the rest of us to come and say those job titles are biased, they're discriminatory, because they are only allowed to people that are already enabled. While in totality, we must be thinking about, inclusive nature, where we are creating frameworks to include people that from previously disadvantaged. Like me, I'm from Welcome, and I was living a previously disadvantaged lifestyle. We never had a home, we never had this, we never had a car, we never had that, no internet. I had to go to the post office to see my first internet experience. All of those. The question is to say, how do you include them, and how do you make sure that the end result, the pipeline, they come out as data people? And it's a catchy and very difficult situation to find yourself. Let me know if you find this important and very informative on the comments below. If not, just hit the like button and the like button and the subscribe button, and then we'll chat again in the next video. Cheers.